Hey guys, and welcome back. You guessed it, we're talking about books. In specific, about 3 little books. This is my first book review, and we're gonna be talking about Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Meyer? You know what? I'm just gonna read the summary because I'm not gonna fake like I know how to give good summaries. Renegades are a syndicate of prodigies, humans with extraordinary abilities who emerge from the ruins of a crumbled society and establish peace and order where chaos reign. Sorry about my accent, it gets thicker when I'm reading. As champions of justice, they remain a symbol of hope and courage to everyone, except the villains they once overthrew. Nova has reason to hate the Renegades, and she's on a mission for vengeance. As she gets closer to her target, she meets Adrian, a renegade boy who believes in justice and in Nova. But Nova's allegiance is to a villain who has the power to end them both. Okay, now for my personal thoughts about Renegades. My non-spoilery thoughts. We're still in the non-spoilery section of the video. So many twists. There were so many twists in this book that I was not expecting. Actually, there were some that I was expecting, but there were a few that I was like, oh my god, especially in book 1. In book 1, there were a lot of surprises. In the other books, you kind of know what's gonna happen, or like you have an idea where it's going. It still doesn't go that way, but like you have an idea of the structure of the story. But in book 1, there was so much information that I was like, no, what? Yeah, no. I do wish that it was a little faster paced sometimes, especially book 1 and book 2. But overall, it had really good action scenes in a lot of places and a lot of stuff happening. There were some parts where I was like, speed it up, man, speed it up. Another thing I liked about the book was that it's very different from your usual YA stuff. We read about 16-year-olds all the time, and they're like adults basically, or they act like they act older. These characters are 16 and they act 16, and you know they're 16. The way they like fall for each other, the way their friendship plays out, all of it's super accurate to how you feel when you're 16. There's a lot of diversity in these books. From everything, race, sexuality, disabilities, we get everything. The superpowers are super cool. At least I really like them, especially the younger generations, because I feel like the original 6 or the council have pretty basic powers like invincibility, invisibility, flying, controlling the water, controlling lightning, stuff that you expect. But then our younger superheroes have random ones. There's one that bleeds rubies, and with those she cuts people up. Another one controls bees. They put people to sleep. We have somebody that draws and their drawings come back to life. So I thought that was pretty cool, that the superpowers were so different and so new. And last but not least, for my non-spoilery section, I'm gonna tell you how much I give them in rating. 4.4, 4.5, 4.6, or even 4.7. And yeah, as a whole, they get an A- as a series. If you haven't read the books, this is your time to say bye-bye. I will see you soon. Scroll all the way to the end of the video and go read the book after, because this is worth it. Are you gone? Do you think they're gone? Is it time for spoilery talk? Okay, let's talk about the characters for a little bit. Nova, she is just bad and awesome. She goes like, she's super smart, which is one of my favorite things in book characters, when they're like good at what they do, like when they're smart and they are competent. I don't know if you know what I mean, because like there's not like, oh, there's dumb characters. It's just that there are some characters that like are, I feel, are dumbed down so the plot can advance or the plot can play a certain way. This is not Nova's case. She is head on, bad, awesome. I keep wanting to say a bad word, but I'm not gonna say it. Then we have Adrian, and he is the sweetest sweetheart that the sweet candy ever saw. I don't know. I think he's so sweet. From the first moment when he just has his little glasses and he fixes Nova's bracelet without even knowing her, and like he drew her his dream, and I don't know, I think sometimes, this is a secret, okay? Sometimes I think that Nova doesn't deserve Adrian. Actually, most of the time, I don't think so. Monarch. Now, we don't see enough of her. In the first book, she is in the hospital for most of it because she got hit by Adrian by mistake. And then in the second book, she spends a whole book as a butterflies. And then in the third book, also, she comes back only like in the second half. But I do gotta say, she is the smartest of all in her team, because she was the only one that figured out Nova was Nightmare, which was pretty obvious, but we'll talk about that later. Now, Ruby, or Red Assassin. I like Ruby, she's cool. I like that she dyes her hair, because I like dyeing my hair too, and I think that's awesome. I don't know why. And I love her relationship with her brothers, because I have a really, really good relationship with my brother. Now let's talk about my favorite character, Mr. Oscar, aka Smokescreen. He is so funny, and I shipped him and Ruby way more than I shipped Nova and Adrian for most of the book. And his love for food makes me really happy, because I can relate to Mr. Oscar a lot on that. I would be asking for food all my life too. And then let's talk about the honorary member of the team, the Bandit. Max is adorable, duh. And it really hurts my feelings that he has to be stuck in quarantine for most of the books. I really like Adrian's and his relationship, because even though they aren't actual brothers, they treat each other like they are. And again, I appreciate a good sibling relationship. Now, my favorite parts. When Nova goes to Adrian's house, I think it was one of my favorite scenes in the whole book. Not only because it goes from cute to sexy real quick, but because tries to steal, or she does steal it, the vitality charm, while both Hugh and Simon are there. And I'm like, only Nova would do that. Another favorite part of mine was when Adrian took her to a carnival and it was like a secret date. Also, my favorite, this moment made me laugh out loud. I had to like write it down and everything as an LOL moment. Oscar's poem, or just Oscar trying to like make Ruby fall in love with him, even though she's already like falling for him. Rubies are red, your eyes are blue. And Nova goes, her eyes are hazel. It's like, of course they are. My second favorite character is Caleb, and I cried my eyes out when he died. It was so sad, and I felt so bad for Magpie, who was the narrator of the epilogue, and everybody, like, I think we should get another book with her as the villain. And she's Nova's sister. She's Evie, right? And I think we should get, like in Lunar Chronicles, how Marissa Meyer has Stars Above, which is a short story, and then she has Lavana's story. I think we should get something like that. Okay, I'm gonna rant now, so I'm gonna put this down because I don't want to get upset.
It was so obvious who Nightmare and the Sentinel were all throughout the 3 books. And tell me it's not true. And I'm gonna tell you how obvious it was for each of them. Nightmare, wherever Nova was, Nightmare was. The carnival, the roof, the library. Actually, in the library we didn't see Nightmare, but we did get all those clues. Whenever she would go When she met Winston, couldn't stop staring at her, knew her. When we went to the library, he knew her. The library's granddaughter, Narcissa, who actually turned out to play a really big role, which I never expected, knew her. Nightmare puts people to sleep. Nova can't sleep, or insomnia can't sleep. And then when Narcissa dresses up as Nightmare and she goes in and hops in mirrors and they're like, oh no, but Nightmare's superpower is that she puts people to sleep. So like, maybe she can do both. Who had access to Agent N? Who knew about the Helpman? Who knew about the banana charm? Who works in artifacts? And last but not least, when they literally said somebody is infiltrating us, Dana stood on Nova. All her butterflies stood on Nova, and nobody even thought about it. Like, the Sentinel. Wherever Adrian was, the Sentinel always appeared. Adrian got hurt where the Sentinel got hurt. The Sentinel fell into the water. Adrian came out of the water. Who stands up for the Sentinel all the time? Even though people criticize him, all the Renegades criticize the Sentinel all the time. Who defends him? Adrian. Always. Never fails. And last but not least, both Adrian and the Sentinel are obsessed with finding Nova, or Nightmare. Sorry. They're both obsessed with finding Nightmare. Nobody thinks this is peculiar that these two people are just obsessed with finding the same person.
The part that I freaked out the most in was when Adrian was about to find out that Nova was Nightmare, and I knew this was coming. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew Dana was gonna tell him, but I couldn't help but freak out. I had to close the book after I read the scene and just like take so many deep breaths because I was freaking out when Dana turned into human and she was like, Nova is Nightmare. I thought I was ready, but then the chapters that came after made me so angry, so freaking angry, because all the clues were perfect. Everything matched with Nova and Nightmare, and then this little girl that hops mirrors, which they know is Narcissa, the librarian's daughter, dresses up at night as Nightmare, and all the chapters are dropped, everything is forgotten, Nova is no longer Nightmare, and I'm like... Then when Adrian went to ask her if she was Nightmare and to confess, and then they wouldn't kill her, whatever was the trait was gonna be or whatever, she said that she wasn't, and she started crying. She's like, no, I hated that. I wish what would have happened was that Nova would have been like, yes, I'm Nightmare. Adrian would have been completely heartbroken. It would have been done. He would have been so sad. And then when it was their execution, Ace and Nova would have found a way to escape, and it would have turned into the battle that it was. That was fine. The battle was cool. And then later, when they're in the church and Adrian is captured, and the relationship between him and Nova would have made more sense because Adrian would have had time to like digest Nova as Nightmare. Not that he found out again and he was like completely fine with it. He was like teasing her about it, and it was like crazy. The end. I think that was the only thing that didn't bring this higher in the rating when it's the end, because I was expecting so much more. And we were left with such a big open ending, and not even like in a good way. It was just completely open. There was nothing set. And I was like, oh man, nobody has superpowers anymore. Like, everybody lost their superpowers. Adrian, Oscar, Dana, Ruby, and then it's like, oh, the whole world has superpowers. And I was like, so I am officially handing in my request for Marissa Meyer to write more, please. I need it. I need to know what happens. So yeah, here's my request. You owe us an Adrian and Nova conversation. And that's it. That's my book review. We are finito. If you guys liked it, remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, subscribe, because soon there will be more reviews up and just more videos about bookish stuff. So hope to see you soon, and stay tuned.